Good day. In the previous video you have learned how to use controllers. So now we're going to learn how to use views inside the controller. So to define views, you have to go to the root directory of your project and then access the resources folder, and then under that you have the views. So here you can define a view. So let's create a new file. So let's say index.blade.php. So all views use the same .blade.php extension. So every time you create a new view file, you need to add the .blade.php. So this utilizes the Blade templating engine, which makes our views nicer to look at. So with the Blade templating engine, you would output variables by wrapping it in double curly braces and then the variable. So that's a bit nicer syntax compared to this one. Okay, so let's open that now, index.blade.php, and then from here we can, okay, so c9.io actually has emmet installed, so you can do something like that and then just press on tab. Oops. So go to the end and then tab. Okay, so this will now be the index. So from here you can output a name variable. So we just wrap it in h1 so it's a bit bigger. Okay, so now you can pass the name variable inside our home controller. So instead of this, actually let's rename this into name. Then we have a default value as well. Then now instead of this, we can call the view function and then pass in the name of the view, so index. So when referring to views in the controllers, you have to omit the .blade.php extension. So instead of index.blade.php, remove it, so just index. Okay, now we have to go to the routes as well, and instead of id we use name. Okay, so now we haven't actually passed the name yet into our index view. So to do that, you need to define a new variable. You can name it anything you like, but I like to name mine with page data. So the view data is just an array. So in here you can define the variables that you want to use. So name, then it uses the name variable that's passed in the method. And now the view would accept the page data as its second argument. So the first argument is the name of the view, and then the second is the data that you want to pass. So if you don't have any data to pass, you can just omit it and it will still work fine. So now let's access it. So warn. So it should say warn in h1 tags. Okay, so let's inspect it just to make sure. Okay, so what happened is that, oops, this array item here has been transformed into a variable, which we referred to in here. So if you have any other things that you want to add, so for example age 11, you can refer to them as age. Okay. So since we hard coded it, we do not need to pass it to the URL. So refresh, and it's saying 11. So aside from strings and integers, you can pass any data type that you want. So you can have arrays as well. So users, so now you can use for each to loop through the array of users. So at for each, and then like that. So in plain PHP, you would usually need to do something like this. Then we close it, open, and close it again. And then between we have the user. So you would do it like that when using plain PHP. But since we're in Laravel, we delete this, then we can echo it out like this. Okay, so at for each, and then at and for each when you want to close the for each loop. Okay. So I guess that's it for this. Oh wait, we have to learn how to use templates as well. So this one isn't very good because you have to repeat it every time you create another view. So in pages, usually you have repeating elements. So for example, this is Stack Overflow, so I'd always have this portion here, and then the header, they always have this, and the only part that's changing is this. So to avoid repetition, you need to use templates. So to do that, we can create a new folder under the views directory. So new folder, name it layouts. This is where you would usually store your templates. So create a new file, and then for home pages, you can define a default .blade.php. So open this, then it would usually have the repeating elements. So here you would have the header, the footer, and the main container of your website, and also the CSS, JavaScript, and fonts that you want to add. So this would be the repeating elements. Okay, so let's define a container, and now in this container is the content that's actually changing. Oops, not like that. So we say at yield, and then the name of the section that you want to yield. So content. So now in this index.blade.php, we can now remove this and make this one stay. Okay, so now let's define the content section. So we say at section and then the name of the content, name of the section, so content, and then inside it is the elements that are changing. So to close the content, you just say at stop. So now we go back to our home controller. Okay, so that's fine, but now this specific view should extend the template. So in here you have to at extends and then the path to where the main template is. So here we have layouts and then default. So when referring to views, it's already automatic that views are already in the views directory under the resources, so you don't have to say resources, views, and then layouts. So you always start in the views directory, so we can remove that. And instead of using slashes, you can use dots. So layouts dot default to refer to the default.blade.php file. Okay, so now when we access this, it should output the same thing, but now it's actually merging the code that we have in our template. So if we change this main template, it should say in the title that this is main template. So view page source, and now it's saying this. But you can actually change the title if you want. So to do that, you can define another section and call it title. So now it will yield the title in this specific location. So in your index.blade.php, you can define a title section. So actually you can so we'll leave it like that, and then let's just define the title in here. So homepage, save it, and it should say homepage. Okay, so view homepage. So it's a bit messed up, so what we can do is take in the title tag as well. And add it in here. So like that. Okay, now it's fixed. So I guess that's all you have to learn about views. So that's it for this video.